Today, I want to talk about three experiences I've had with evidence based agility. Experience one, I did a workshop with a bunch of C level executives in a company, and I introduced the idea of evidence based agility to them. And I explained I was perceiving a disconnect between the work that the teams were doing and the expectations of the executives, the work that the executives were doing. The impact was when I spoke to the executives, they felt that the team is just not getting their word. And when I spoke to the team, ironically, the teams had the same experience. The executives were not getting their word, what it feels like to be in the team. And I had a hypothesis that if I used evidence based management and if I helped the executives show the true north to the team, what was the destination that they wanted the organization to arrive at, and if they created a compelling and inspiring vision and tied back all of their decisions to that central vision, that it may reduce the disconnect between the two sets of people. And so I created a workshop. I helped them create some value based scoreboards. Um, the C suite agreed with this idea. They had an internal software development team. That team brought those scoreboards that we co-created on flip charts using markers. This development team brought those scoreboards to life using Tableau. This allowed that organization to align towards a shared set of goals. They had one of their best years in the history of the company, and they were the subject of a case study that is now published on scrum.org. Let's go to the second story. I went to another organization. I had a similar workshop. I explained my ideas to the C suite. In that context, the organization did not have budget to fund internal development using Tableau or Power BI. So, what we did instead was we used Google Sheets, and the product owners would add one chart every sprint, um, and they would manually go and get data from the systems of truth or ask people. And over time, we started with one chart on Google Sheets and we expanded. And by the time we finished, we had a pretty robust set of value based scoreboards that we used to get feedback from the C suite during sprint reviews. Over time, when they saw the power of these scoreboards, um, they invested in building the scoreboards using a tool called Periscope, which is kind of like poor man's Tableau. And now every morning, the CEO of the company receives automated notifications about the scoreboards, and that's what the CEO uses to run the company. Let's talk about the third situation. I explained evidence based agility to my clients. Um, it resonated with the CTO. We started with Excel. From Excel, we went to Power BI. And now we use Power BI based scoreboards in the sprint review to solicit feedback and to align around what's the single biggest product improvement for the next sprint, and possibly what is the single biggest cultural ecosystem improvement to be made by the surrounding stakeholders for the next sprint. Uh, let's go to story number four, which is sadly more common than not. So I showed the evidence based management value based scoreboard to the CEO of a publicly traded company, multi billion dollar company. And he leaned forward and he said, when can I get that? So he wanted that kind of a scoreboard, a value based scoreboard to run his organization. I started working with um, mid level management, and that's where this idea died. I created some Excel mockups. I showed it to the product owners. I showed it to mid level management. But where the idea died was that they wanted to get um, their BI team to develop the dashboard in one case. In one case, the BI team says, we've got a big backlog, you are very low, we'll get to you when we get to you. So the idea died. In a second case, the organization decided to purchase a Jira plugin, and it took probably 1 year for them to get approval because the Jira team was super busy. So it took them a while to get approval for the Jira plugin. When they did get the Jira plugin, it took them a while to get the Jira plugin installed. And when they, by the time I had left them, I don't know if they had installed the plugin or not, but the next place where the idea would have died is to get their BI team to now use the Jira plugin to suck in data into their dashboard, right? So what can we learn from these four stories? I have at least three real world examples, three data points where C-level executives have used evidence based management, value based scoreboards, outcome based scoreboards in conjunction with Scrum and Nexus to run their companies to extract wisdom and insight about what is the single most product improvement we should make in the next sprint and what is the single most important cultural or ecosystem or process improvement we surrounding stakeholders should make in the next sprint. The other scenario where this doesn't work, what is the biggest takeaway? The biggest takeaway is if we try to complicate the implementation of ideas like this, it's possible if there is no hunger within the organization, it will get bogged down into some organizational red tape or politics. The BI team is too busy. I don't have funding to do in house development of a scoreboard. I don't have money to get a Jira plugin, and so on and so forth. So, what is my call to action? Um, Point number one, see if you can use evidence based management to create an outcome based, value based scoreboard that resonates with C level executives. Number two, build a bridge between the world of the C suite and the world of the team. Point number three, um, on an appropriate cadence, especially if you're using Scrum, use sprint review. Use the scoreboard to facilitate the right interactions between the right individuals so you can extract the right insight. And the last but most important, use these conversations to align around the single most important product improvement to be made in the next sprint and the single most important cultural improvement to be made in the next sprint. In the words of Daniel Vacanti, agility is about getting the right people together at the right cadence to ask the right questions so they can make the right course corrections. Use evidence based management and outcome based scoreboards to be more agile. Thank you. Keep calm and scrum on.